Hey guys, good morning. I'm sorry. It never fails. It never fails. As soon as I go live, I have to cough or sneeze or burp or something. It never fails. Good morning. My name is Debbie. Welcome to my channel. We are on part 95, I think, of the Phil Spector trial. Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody had a nice weekend. Hey, Judy. Hey, Jill. It's so nice to have you guys back. I missed you over the weekend. We went to Typhoon Lagoon and we had a very good time. It was so nice being able to go up. Hey, Carla. So nice to be able to go up the elevator instead of climbing all of those steps. It was so great. Um, I didn't get to ride all of the slides because some of the slides don't have elevators, so but we had a really good time. Played in the wave pool, went around the lazy river, had a great lunch. Um got new water shoes, but got them on the way out instead of on the way in, so they have not been christened yet, but they look like mermaid shoes. They look like they have mermaid scales on them. They're really pretty. Um I put some little short members only videos up with the wave pool and our lunch and my new shoes. We got rained out, so we left early, but we probably would have been leaving anyway because I don't know about my husband, but I was worn out and ready to go home. Um and when it started to rain, cuz we decided we were done and it was looking like it was going to rain anyway. So we went to the gift shop because Travis had been complaining about his shoes all day. In fact, he took the insole out of one of the shoes because it kept like bunching up in his shoe. So he took it out and he put it in the pocket of his swim shorts. And we were in the wave pool and a wave hit. And when we came up, I came up, he came up, so did the sole of his shoe. I grabbed it real quick before it floated away. And then he went to ride one of the slides that had stairs, and I went to the gift shop, and I was like, "Ooh, I like these swim shoes." And then when he got off the slide, I'm like, "They have nice swim shoes in there. They're Speedos. Come look at them." Um, and we were on our way out, so we just bought them on the way out. So my swim shoes, they were like swim oh, what's it called? Wetsuit booties from when I used to dive. So like they were from the 90s. They were old. They had holes in them and everything. So well, wait. Just wait. So remember I had nails. So started the day off, got in the wave pool. First wave, lost the thumbnail. Travis is, I don't know what Travis thought. Like, he was frantically looking for it. I'm like, don't worry about it. I'll fix it when we get home. It's not a big deal. I don't know why he was so frantically looking for for my thumbnail. I'm like, it's fine, honey. Don't worry. So then, so he rode the water roller coaster. That's the one that had the elevator up to it. And I had, because they tell you to hold on tight, and you have to hold on tight. So when you're going so fast down that slide, because they've got jets of water that push you because it pushes you uphill because it's a water roller coaster. When you hit the pool at the bottom, the speed, I guess it's the speed difference. I thought of that. As soon as I lost the first nail, I was like, oh my God, Phil Spector, this is like, and I didn't even shoot a gun and I've lost my thumbnail. That's the first thing I thought of. No gun involved at all whatsoever. But coming off the slide, I had like my hand was wrapped around those things and the water, it usually flips over. I guess it flipped and it ripped it out of my hand. And I guess the way it was resting on the nail, because they're a little bit longer than my finger, that handle, when the raft was ripped out, it ripped the fingernails off with it. So I lost these 3, the rest I just took off. But yeah, those 2 hurt though, because they were ripped off. The thumbnail just fell off, but those 2 ripped. So yeah, so Travis goes, okay, new lesson, don't wear nails to the water park. I was like, yeah, I'll remember that next time. Well, the last time we went, I had my nails done and I lost 1. I only lost 1. I lost 3 this time. So I guess no more nails. Next water park, no more nails. But there's 3 different roller coasters. It's the same tower. It's made to look, because their theming is that there was a big storm and that there was, I guess, like there was an island there and the storm blew everything there. So you've got like wrecked boats everywhere and broken surfboards everywhere. And the big giant like mountain peak has a wrecked ship at the very top of it. So that's why it's Typhoon Lagoon, is that their theming is that a great big typhoon came and washed all these ships, wrecks and stuff onto this little island. So that's their theming. So the water roller coaster is like there was a fruit packing plant that is, I guess, got demolished by the storm. It's not in use anymore. And the chutes that they sent the fruit down, I guess, or the boxes or something, is what you're sliding down. And so there's banana. One's banana, one's coconut, and the other's pineapple. Banana is you have to have 2 people to go down banana because you have to have enough weight on the raft to keep it from just flying off. They're all enclosed. Even the open air parts have a net around them. And I was looking at it, I'm like, I'm trying to gauge the steepness because of the last water slide at that other park. I didn't want to hurt my butt bone again. But none of them are as steep. I think that was the problem with the other one. Because I got off it. It was crazy. It was wild and crazy. But I didn't get hurt. So, but when it hit the first one, the banana one, the like most wild one, when it hit the water, I slid right out. I slid right out of the raft because it's a 2-person raft. So Travis is behind me. I slid out. The raft flipped and threw Travis over top of me. And we love the wave pool, but it has one flaw. Okay, I have bad knees. So if I get down on my knees, I need help to get up. I don't have the strength in my knees to stand up without some type of assistance. And like, I'll have to crawl over to a bed or a table or whatever to pull myself up because I don't have the strength in my knees to just stand back up. So the waves come the wave pool is huge, and the waves come because they're generated and they're not natural waves, they're still super strong in the shallows. So there's not enough time between waves for you to get out of the pool. So we'd been playing in the waves, and then we were done, but we knew we weren't going to make it out in time. So we were in the shallow water, probably not even up to our waist, maybe up to our knees, up to our thighs, maybe. And I said, okay, okay, okay. Stand there. I'm going to hold on to you. We're in a disaster movie. We're holding on to each other for dear life. And I thought that would work. It didn't work. We fell down. He fell on top of me. I thought we were going to die. They need to do something. They need to. I mean, this park has been there for I don't know how long, like the 90s. I guess no one's complained, so they're just. They need to figure out a way to get the waves to not be so strong when they hit the shallow water because it knocks me down every time, and then I can't get back up because my knees are so bad. Now, when I was younger, I could. I would bob around in the water for a while though, because I'd get almost back up and then another wave would hit me and I'd fall back down. And we would get, me and my friends would giggle. It was funny. It's not funny anymore. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to die because I can't get back up anymore. But Travis helped. Travis pulled me back up. So still love that wave pool. It's the best wave pool in Florida as far as I'm concerned because the waves just are not they're real waves. It's not just like little choppy, the water gets rough. It's real waves like you're at the beach. I love that wave pool. It's it's my favorite water park of any water park I've ever been to. I love it so much. If you're a slide person, maybe not so much, but the Crush and Gusher is what the roller coaster is called. To me, that and the wave pool makes it my favorite. But like the other, like the big crazy wild slides, Volcano Bay. If you want to go, if you like wild slides, Volcano Bay is the way to go. That is owned by Universal. So we are gonna start a new trial today. So what we're gonna do? Oh, you know what? I didn't check my poll again. I wonder. Let me make sure it's still the same because you guys might have changed your minds. Or not changed your mind, but you know what I mean. Why is there not? I'm confused. Oh, they changed it. It's posts now. Oh, you guys. No, don't do this to me. It's 50-50. Yes, and no creepy critters is a huge bonus. Cuz I at the beach, I don't swim. I just wade out a little ways cuz I don't want to go out where the creepy critters are. Well, now I don't know what to do. Okay. So since it's 50-50, ugh, you guys. Okay, this trial is in Washington. It's going to start at noon and it's going to run late. So the choices were Spector from 8 to 10, then take a break until 12, and then do the whole thing. Or do the trial from 12 to 5 and then catch up on what we missed the next morning. And it's 50-50, you guys. Which means while this trial is going, if we do the catch up in the morning while this trial is going on, then we're going to have to skip Spector. You know what? This trial's got to be short, though, because they got him doing this on video. So okay. So okay, we'll put Spector on hold then. That's what we'll do. But we're going to do Spector right now until 10, and then we're going to take a break. And then we'll go till 5, and then tomorrow we'll do catch up on what we missed. Okay. You guys, I do polls so I don't have to make the decisions. And you guys made me make the decision. Why do I do polls? You guys suck. Love you. And I was not ready today because I was making me a protein shake for breakfast because I gained 3 pounds over the weekend. I was a bad girl. Oh, that's right. Oh, we can only go until 9. Oh, that's just a half an hour. Because I've been yapping. Okay. I forgot. We got a sentencing this one. Do you want to see it? Christopher Dontel. Megan, what's her face? I did. I did. I forgot all about it. I totally forgot all about it. What? Quit changing stuff. There's new buttons at the bottom. StreamYard, why? Why do you keep fixing what's not broken? Stop it.
Mr. Andrews, thank you for returning. We were talking about the subject of various points that you
Okay, I don't know what just happened. I lost StreamYard somehow. I started playing the video and then I was like, where did StreamYard go? Totally lost it. I was like, what is happening?
Didn't believe everything that he was testifying to the other day.
Okay, and you don't... Well, let me ask you this. With reference to his opinions as to the movements after the injury that Ms. Clarkson suffered, you agree with some of what he said. Is that true?
You'll have to be more specific, I'm afraid.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Let's talk about Dr. Bodden, and then I'll show you some pictures, and then we'll talk about some issues when we get to the pictures, if we will. As far as Dr. Bodden is concerned, do you agree with the opinions that he gave?
Which opinions?
Some of the opinions? Any
Yes.
of them? Okay.
Yes.
How about the opinions regarding blood that got shot out of the mouth and tissue that got shot out of the mouth when the gun went off? Did you have any disagreements with those opinions?
Objection, that's beyond scope.
Sustain.
Okay. Dr. Andrews, with reference to any inhalation of air, either in or out, do you disagree or agree with anything that Dr. Bodden said regarding that?
If you will quote the particular statement you're interested in, I'd be glad to, respond to it. You need to be a little bit more specific because that's a rather broad question, I'm afraid.
Okay, you said you agreed with some of the things that Dr. Bodden said. What do you agree with?
That's overbroad, Your Honor.
He's
Dr.
indicated
Bodden.
he needs to be, just 1 second, please. He needs to be directed to what you want him to agree or disagree with and offer an opinion, and then you can proceed with that as long as it's relevant to his testimony.
Do you disagree with this general concept that somebody can inhale blood and that can get in the alveoli of their lungs? Do you disagree with that general concept?
Not talking about Ms. Clarkson, but just in general, a living person could inhale blood?
Correct.
Oh, of course, yes.
Now, Dr. Andrews, as a board-certified forensic pathologist, how many forensic autopsies have you actually done, you yourself, and setting aside for the moment ones that you may have saw other people do or anything like that, just how many have you done in your career as a board-certified forensic pathologist? Your best estimate.
My best estimate is approximately 400, 450 in that general area, yes, sir.
And in these autopsies, how many of them have been, when you were board-certified, how many of them have been intraoral gunshot wounds that you have done?
I can't remember an exact number. I would say less than 10, probably.
Where inside the mouth gunshot wounds were the type of, or the mechanism causing death?
Yes, I don't remember an exact number, but it was not very many.
And the number of forensic autopsies that you've done where they've been, where the lung weight was, let's say, 1,800 grams or more, in other words, where the lungs were very heavy. Do you remember how many that were also gunshot wounds?
I don't remember, sir, no.
Now, am I correct that you have not read the autopsy report, the full autopsy report of Dr. Pena? Is that my understanding?
I don't believe I've ever gone through that in detail, no.
Okay. Well, did you go over it in non-detail?
I glanced through it, yes.
Okay, but you did not read it, and you did not read the findings, and you don't have a general understanding of what they say. Is that
I
true?
remember briefly reviewing it. I think it was several years ago. I don't remember the details.
Okay, and as far as relying upon or giving opinions based upon the autopsy report, you don't have enough of a recollection of it that you're really giving an opinion based upon the findings at autopsy. Is that true?
My findings at autopsy were limited to the brain and spinal cord and their coverings, and that was my role in the case. And I have no comment on the general autopsy findings that were performed by Dr. Pena.
Okay, now, you've given testimony that the bullet was of a certain dimension. Are you accurate in that dimension?
Well, all I can tell you is that I arrived at that estimate by a conversion formula that I found in a dictionary, a medical dictionary. And I know that the 38 special refers to 0.38 inches. And so I just simply converted that to millimeters and came out with roughly 9.6. So I said round it out to 9.5. that was the basis for that statement.
And it would be true, though, doctor, that the actual bullet size is under 9. Is that true?
Is under 9?
Yeah, 9 millimeters.
Well, as I say, I was using a conversion factor that I found in a dictionary, so I was estimating it as 0.38 inches equals how many millimeters, and that's what the calculation told me.
And the same for the cord, you got that from some research as opposed to any actual measurement that was actually done in this case. Is that true?
In this case, I have measured that level of the spinal cord in other cases, and I've confirmed that in several other articles in the literature with regard to spinal cord size, and concluded that they were reasonably accurate within the range of standard deviation mentioned in the articles.
Now, the articles that you cited to us regarding the edema that occurs, there's a number of different factors that come into play when we talk about the lungs getting fluid in them or blood in them, and then weighing the lungs and trying to determine how it happened. Isn't that true?
That there are a number of different factors?
Yes.
Yes, in my opinion, yes.
Okay, sometimes in a clinical setting, people live for a matter of weeks or months, and then they pass away, and their lungs can be very full of fluid as well as blood, things of that nature. Is that correct?
Certainly.
Okay, and this article deals with a number of different circumstances, including whether somebody dies at a scene versus goes to a hospital and survives for a period of time. Isn't that correct?
I'd have to go back and look at the materials and methods in this particular article. That wasn't the purpose of the article,
Okay.
so I don't have that in my memory. I'd have to see the article again.
Okay, do you have it with you?
No, but you do.
Okay. So do people get fluid in the lungs when they die at the scene, within minutes of their fatal injury being inflicted? Can that happen?
Yes, it always happen.
In fact, the article suggests it happens in less than a third of the cases. Isn't true that
It's not in every case.
Okay. And you can't state that it actually happened in this case, can you? You can't state that
in
as a
my
fact.
testimony, I specified that.
Okay. And in the cases where it does happen, where people actually survive for a period of hours, the maximum weight that the lungs get is somewhere around 900 milligrams or grams. Is that true?
I don't know. I don't have that information in my head.
Okay. Now, you don't know whether even 1 gram was the caused by edema occurring in this particular case. Is that correct? You don't know that that was the cause of any additional weight to the lungs. Isn't that correct?
I would be skeptical that the amount of blood and spinal fluid alone would account for that difference in weight in the lungs. So I would have to postulate that there was edema fluid in there as well. And what I was doing previously was giving you 3 different possible mechanisms by which that could occur without breathing having to be involved.
Now, with reference to the edema, basically the longer somebody is basically, the heart is going, the more edema can collect in the lungs. In other words, that once the heart stops, the edema stops also. Is that basically correct?
Basically, that's correct.
And we know that the heart kept going for a period of time in this particular case. Is that also correct?
That's my belief, yes.
And the bleeding that occurred in all the different areas of the body would confirm that. Isn't that also true?
I didn't examine other areas of the body, so I can't say.
But you did examine the spinal cord, which showed bleeding in a number of areas. Is that true?
True.
And the brain, a number of areas bleeding. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And also edema in both the spinal cord and the brain. Isn't that true?
Yes, locally in the spinal cord at the site of the gunshot wound and also in other portions of the brain.
Okay, now you would expect bleeding to be at the areas of the spinal cord where it physically came in contact with a bullet, because it actually breaks apart the vessels, isn't that true?
Absolutely, yes.
But in the areas that are not near the gunshot wound, there was also bleeding that basically suggests something else going on other than the actual gunshot wound itself. Isn't that true?
No, the gunshot wound would have been responsible, in my opinion, for those other areas of bleeding because of temporary cavity effect and because of secondary overpressure effects intracranially as a result of the gunshot wound.
What do you mean?
It's a closed cavity.
Go ahead.
And as the bullet goes through, it's going to create disturbances quite some distance from the bullet itself.
Okay. What do you mean by overpressure? If you could define that term and explain it to the jury.
Yes. There's a normal amount of pressure in the brain and in the spinal cord. And various things can increase that intracranial pressure and intraspinal pressure. One of them is brain swelling. Another one is in a situation like this where you have bleeding that can occur there. And there are many other circumstances under which increased intracranial pressure can occur. In this instance, specific to Ms. Clarkson, part of that temporary sudden increase in pressure within the intracranial cavity was a result of the bullet going into this closed space and the temporary cavity effect that would have produced in the brain and spinal cord tissue. So that would account for the sudden spike in pressure that caused the outward bulging of the fracture that I saw as the scalp was removed in Ms. Clarkson's autopsy. I was there at the time the scalp was reflected, and I noted in my report that that was the case and that it was elevated. One of the fracture sides was elevated above the other one, and I don't remember the exact amount, but it's specified in my report. So that indicates what's called an overpressure, where it not only fractured the bone, but it lifted it away outward, which again indicates significant overpressure.
Now, the pressure is caused not by the gases, by something else. Is that your testimony?
Whether gas is also involved depends on the exact range and so on. I don't require gas to be involved in this case because the temporary cavity effects were sufficient, in my opinion, to be able to produce that kind of change. If gas is added to it, so be it. I can't say yes or no on that. It's possible.
Okay. Now, Dr. Andrews, with reference to the effect or the neurological effect of a bullet that goes into the brain, just in general, let's set aside Lana Clarkson's specific circumstances and let's talk about a general concept, then we'll bring it back to this particular case. Somebody shoots themselves in the brain or gets shot in the brain. That causes the nerves to quit working and basically the organs, the lungs, et cetera, to quit working. Is that correct?
You'd have to be more specific. What caliber, what muzzle velocity, what part of the brain? There are many variables, and it makes it impossible for me to answer that question with a yes or no. Yeah.
So let's say a .38 caliber weapon that gets shot into the brain. Does it have any neurological shock effect as to the spinal cord?
What part of the brain?
The temple?
How far back in the temple? I'm not being difficult. I'm trying to be specific because let me give, if I may, give you an example of why I can't answer it just as such.
If I may interject, it appears that this line of questioning is irrelevant. She wasn't shot in the temple.
No, I understand.
I understand that, but I don't know where the questions are going. It may be relevant, it may not be. I can't tell you right now. All right?
I think there's so many variables, Your Honor, I'm never going to get anywhere, so I'm going to move on to another
Okay.
subject. Dr. Andrews, with reference to this particular case, did you determine from your independent evaluation of the spinal cord and the brain what the track of the bullet was? Were you able to do that, or were you asked to do that, or did you do it on your own, whatever the case may be?
I only specifically referred to the track of the bullet within the central nervous system specimens that I had, basically brain, spinal cord, and my report directly discussed that. I did not discuss the track of the bullet before it got to the spinal cord medulla junction or after that, but at the time of the autopsy, I did see some of the fractures. I did know from a later conversation with Dr. Pena that he felt that it went backward and slightly upward, and from my examination, I knew that it was midline or very close to midline. And also at the time of the autopsy, I saw within the skull, after the brain was removed, the bullet path that went through the occipital sinus, which is in the dura mater, and is directly in the midline, posterior to the cerebellum. And I think I even specified how many centimeters of occipital sinus the bullet path had disturbed. So I was familiar with that degree of the bullet path. I did not see the bullet when it was removed. I didn't see it in the subcutaneous tissue. That was not my focus.
And you didn't measure it?
Measure what?
The bullet.
No, I only understand from the material that I was told that it was a .38 special.
Okay. Now, this is focusing in on what you did, what you saw. You saw the bullet after it hit the spinal cord area. In other words, you mentioned that bones were broken there, and you saw that, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and these bones, when they're broken, they're basically sharp. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, and the bullet went from the spinal cord area when it went through the spine, and then it went and hit the back of the skull in some fashion. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and was it at a higher elevation or lower elevation or level?
The increase in elevation from front to back, if I'm talking only about from the spinal cord area to the occipital sinus, was slightly upward. It was very close to horizontal, but slightly upward.
Okay, and basically the same trajectory that was explained to you by Dr. Pena. You don't disagree with his description of the trajectory, is that correct?
Well, what I can recall of his description, no particular discrepancy was brought to my attention, no.
Did you see him do the measurements regarding the upward angle of the trajectory, anything such as that?
No.
Okay, and you didn't see him do the probe of, you know how they do a probe of a bullet path through a body? You didn't see him do that?
No. The way that I personally was looking at the situation was I saw his preliminary autopsy notes, I saw his diagrams, and then what I will often do, and what I did in this case, was I proceed to go to something like a CT or MRI radiologic type atlas, where they have a number of different diagrams and different angles. And in this instance, because it was so close to a midline shot, I did that, and I took a sagittal view of the brain, a diagram of that was based on an actual X-ray of a human skull and head. And I tried to see whether a path that is described by the deputy medical examiner makes anatomic sense in a straight line, or whether there might be an angling of that shot, such as from an internal ricochet or bouncing off of a bone and then changing the angle of the shot. And I will do that at times. I did it in this case. I saw no discrepancy between the description by Dr. Pena and what I had seen of the bullet wound path. And the reason that's important is because sometimes I will get a brain specimen, and where the bullet ends up and where the entrance wound is so discrepant that it doesn't quite fit what the deputy medical examiner thought. And then I have to question them carefully or explore the possibility of an internal ricochet, which can take a variety of forms. And we need to figure out how to fit the facts with what the possibilities are and come to the best conclusion possible. So in this case, it just happened to be one where I decided to verify Dr. Pena's description by my own review of the anatomy, and I did not find any discrepancy.
Okay, so to put that in sort of layman's terms, Dr. Pena saw the trajectory where the bullet entered the back of the throat, it hit the spine, and it broke some bones, but you didn't see any substantial deviation after that. Is that correct in a layman's
No, I did not see any change from what Dr. Pena described as far as the bullet wound path.
It kept in the exact, or pretty much the same direction it was going in without shooting off to left, right, up, or down. Is that correct?
So close to being so that I could not see any reason to dispute how he described it.
Okay.
Yes.
Exhibit BB. Dr. Andrews, did Mr. Jackson show you any photographs of this case?
I don't remember him bringing any photographs, no.
Okay, and did he show you, for example, the scene where Lana Clarkson's body was or anything like that?
He did not, but I have seen that photo at one of the other meetings several years ago.
Okay. In fact, you were at a meeting with Mr. Dixon one time when he asked you a bunch of questions. Is that correct? Or somebody at the meeting asked you questions?
About this particular photo?
No, about this case.
Please restate that. I'm not sure what
Do you
you're
remember
asking.
being at a meeting where well, never mind. I'll move on. This photograph you've seen before because you've been to meetings with members of the district attorney's office and members of the coroner's staff, yourself, Dr. Pena, Dr. Lakshmanan, et cetera. Is that correct?
There were meetings like that several years ago, yes.
Okay.
And then the recent meeting that I mentioned with Dr. Pena was there with Mr. Jackson.
Okay.
And Mr. O'Shea, I believe, was there also.
Okay, and did you take notes of this meeting by chance?
No,
How about Dr. Pena? Did he take notes to your knowledge?
I don't remember him having any paper or pencil in front of him.
Fair enough. Now, you gave an opinion in this case at one point in time that you could not, based upon your expertise in the field of neuropathology, you could not state whether or not Lana Clarkson was seated in the chair when the shot was fired versus standing up and fell into the chair. Is that correct? You've gone on record as saying that. Isn't that true?
Yeah, basically, the examination of the brain and spinal cord would not allow me to extrapolate situations with regard to her position in the chair. That's correct.
And there's nothing about the nature of the injury, the fact that it was inside the mouth, the fact that it was in an upward trajectory that didn't deviate left, right from the original path of the bullet, that negates from a neurological standpoint, that she could have been standing when she was fought and then ended up in this position that's shown in Exhibit BB. Isn't that true?
Please ask that again. It was kind of complicated.
Okay. There's nothing about her position as shown in Exhibit BB that negates the possibility that she was standing when she was shot. In other words, there's nothing about the neurological damage from the bullet and its path and what it caused that would negate her being in this position, that she could have been standing as opposed to being seated, just from the neuropathology.
Okay.
Is that correct?
I can only answer that this way. I can't answer it yes or no. If you want me to continue.
Okay, well, is it if I understand your testimony, you can't say whether she was seated or standing, and then setting aside the blood spatter, that's a different subject that has been brought up in this case, but just from the neuropathology standpoint, can you say whether she was seated or standing when the shot was fired?
No.
Okay, and let's just assume that she was seated for purposes of my next question, okay? Can you state which way her head was when she was shot? Left, right, center, up, down, or anything such as that?
May I answer that in other than a yes or no?
Well, I mean, if you can state it's left or right, or center, or up or down, that's fine, but
I'm sorry, my objection is it sounds like the doctor needs to explain his answer.
well, I think I've given him every variable, and if he can't say yes or no, then I don't know.
Well, if you can answer yes or no, please do. If you cannot and you need to explain, you may explain.
I cannot.
All right, then do you wish him to explain?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I think that examination of wounds, and in which, in my case, was a very limited part of the autopsy, does not automatically make one an expert on crime scene investigation or the dynamics of a shooting situation, whether it be law enforcement related or non-law enforcement. I think that when we start to stray into those areas, when we don't have special training or expertise in those areas, is a pitfall. And I am willing to answer any questions and do the best I can to answer them when it has to do with my portion of the autopsy, but I think it's obvious that examination of the brain and spinal cord does not translate into me becoming an expert on her position at the time of the incident. I don't know how to answer these questions otherwise.
Okay. So from just the neuropathological standpoint, in other words, neuropathology, you can't say she was or was not in this position that's shown in Exhibit BB. You can't answer that question, basically.
I cannot.
Okay. Are you stating that she had to be in this exact position based upon neuropathology? Are you saying that that is the position she was in when she was shot?
No.
Jack, that's the same question asked a different way.
Well,
He's just indicated he cannot say, he will not say that she's in that position or any other position. I mean,
It is-
different ways.
It is phrased differently. He answered no, or he could not. So,
Oh, he did? Oh.
Yes.
Just wanted to make sure.
But thank you for that lengthy objection.
I stand corrected.
All right, you may proceed.
Is there anything within the scope of your expertise, Dr. Andrews, within the scope of your expertise, no further, that precludes Lana Clarkson being in the position that she's shown in, but that before that she was in a different position when she put the gun in her mouth and pulled the trigger.
Objection. That assumes a fact definitely not in evidence.
The objection is sustained.
I want you to assume that Lana Clarkson put the gun in her mouth, the .38 caliber that you read about. She pulled the trigger. Is there anything that precludes her from falling back in the chair, slumping in the position that she's in?
I would say that in order to answer that honestly and completely, I would like to have a situation where a person was standing in various postures and pretended that they suddenly went limp and tried to fall in various ways and see if one of them ended up like that. I can't say that it's impossible. It may be possible.
I want you to assume she's seated in the chair as opposed to standing.
All right.
I want you to assume that she put the gun in her mouth, pulled the trigger with her thumb, held the gun with both hands, and had it inside her mouth. Is there anything that precludes her slumping in the chair and ending up in the position she's shown in on Exhibit BB?
Well, I would consider it within the realm of possibility. It's certainly a very abnormal posture at this point. It's not the way people usually sit, so I can't exclude it, no.
Thank you.
Anything further?
Nothing further, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Redirect.
Oh, that's it? I need to wake up. Can I have just a second, Judge?
Yes.
Very briefly, Doctor, you indicated, I may not even need to stand up for this. Doctor, you indicated that with regard to Dr. Jan Leetsma, you found him to be, at least at the time that you knew him, intellectually honest and reasonable insofar as his opinions and conclusions were concerned, correct?
Yes,
Now, you have had an extensive clinical practice throughout your career, correct?
yes.
And that is different from a lot of pathologists and neuropathologists who have been working on dead bodies their entire career, correct?
Yes,
You've seen extensively a vast number of trauma cases in live patients, patients who have lived. You've followed patients throughout their treatment, correct?
yes,
And that is experience that a lot of pathologists and neuropathologists simply don't have, correct?
I believe that's so, yes.
Has that vast experience enhanced your knowledge base insofar as the foundation for what you've testified to here today and yesterday?
I think that it certainly does provide me with a broader base and a different type of experience in that I'm able to correlate both what happens in patients that survive an initial insult and then correlate that with the findings at pathology. We not only see our own patients, but we see interesting cases that others have examined and are the primary physician on. I've attended thousands of clinical pathological conferences on patients that were not mine, but that there was good evidence as to what the clinical findings were described by a clinician. Then the pathology would be demonstrated with slides or with descriptions. So all of that, I think, is helpful with some of the questions that I've been asked, certainly not all of them.
Doctor, you were asked on cross-examination whether or not you agreed with or disagreed with certain postulates put forward by Dr. Leetsma, and I think your answer was, I believe he believed it, meaning the decerebrate posturing or the decerebrate rigidity with regard to Miss Lana Clarkson's injury. My question to you is this: regarding that decerebrate posturing, if Dr. Leetsma believed that in his opinion she may have experienced such decerebrate posturing, notwithstanding whether he believes that in his experience, based on your expertise and your experience, including all of your clinical practice and your clinical expertise, is Dr. Leetsma correct in your opinion?
No, Jack, that's improper.
Well, he just, at the end, he brought it back by basically saying, do you agree or disagree? That's what he's really asking.
And then it would be asked and answered, I think.
The objection is overruled. You may answer.
No, I do not believe that decerebrate rigidity occurred after this gunshot wound for the reasons that I stated.
One quick question to make sure that we clear this up. You were asked by Mr. Plord whether or not the article that you cited by Gardner, Gardner, concerning the barium that we talked about, the barium that ended up moving through the body and down into the lung area.
Yes.
Mr. Plord asked you whether or not the article actually said, well, it just moved to the bronchial area, to the bronchial tree, if you will. Do you remember him asking you that?
Yes.
And you corrected him and indicated you just didn't read far enough. The next paragraph down indicates that, quote, barium was found in the lungs of 7 of the 10 bodies, and surprisingly, it had in some cases reached the alveoli, quote, end quote. Correct?
Yes, sir.
That's the study that you were referencing with regard to the blood in the alveoli and different mechanisms with which that blood could be accounted for being down that far into the recesses of the lungs, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. Recross.
Yeah, just briefly. Dr. Andrews, when you talk about clinical findings, basically you're talking about a clinician that takes care of live patients and there's a clinical course of treatment that occurs. Is that true?
Well, it depends on how long they live, but in general, yes, that's true.
All right. Clinical course, a live patient, treatment, clinician. They could live for an hour, a day, a week, a month, or forever until they die of old age. But clinical findings are related to that. Is that true?
To living patients.
Okay. And when you look at a pathology slide, that's a clinical determination as to what you see in that slide. Is that true?
No, that's a pathological determination.
Okay. And basically a pathological slide you look at and you basically see what's there and then you describe that in some fashion. Is that correct? And you come up with a diagnosis of that particular slide or a partial diagnosis, whatever the case may be. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sometimes it's a negative, sometimes it's a positive. Something is not seen, something is seen. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And in this particular case, you looked at brain tissue under slides, you looked at neurological tissue, then you've also looked at lung tissue just recently as of a couple of days ago. Is that correct?
A few days ago, yes, sir.
Okay. And when you look at the applicable tissues, can you look at the tissues and diagnose that there was spinal shock that occurred? Is that one of the diagnoses that can occur?
No.
Okay, so there's nothing physical you could look at and come to that determination, correct?
Not exactly. It depends on where the wound was and clinical pathological correlation with what the implications of that wound are based on an extensive literature and experience and my own observations in many, many patients.
Okay, and so you don't look at a slide necessarily, you look at the literature, you take into consideration your experience with live patients and things of that nature. Is that true?
Yes, in other words, this particular lesion, what would you expect that the patient could or could not do after that was inflicted?
And then based upon that, you've given your opinion what could happen or couldn't happen, basically.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. And are you saying that that opinion is to 100% certainty?
I don't
did happen?
really think that applies in medicine, except in very rare instances. I think that I could say that without any, there's overwhelming information supports my opinion with regard to spinal shock occurring in this setting. I think that the Tuno article makes it very clear that they specifically used patients with lesions in this same general area, the upper cervical area, to carefully map the sequence of events. It's the best study that I know of recently that really documents the sequence of events. And all I can say is that 100% is not a term that is very useful under these circumstances. I think that the overwhelming possibility is beyond any reasonable medical certainty that this is the classic lesion in the classic situation with the classic pace of development of the lesion. In other words, very rapid, very high in the neck in a human being, and severe, in which you will see spinal shock. That's a setting that paper after paper, book after book will tell you that's when you're going to see spinal shock if you're ever going to see it.
And board certified pathologists would all agree with that, I take it. Is that true?
I have no.
Sustained.
Now, do board certified pathologists disagree on issues?
Objection, zero.
Overruled. I'll allow it.
Is that something that's uncommon?
That's not uncommon, and it's well documented in literature also. And I think that as an example of that, sometimes particularly difficult tumor cases as to whether it's benign, malignant, if so, how malignant, that can sometimes be shown to a battery of different well-trained pathologists, and there may be some disagreement.
Doctor, with reference to the Gardner article and the barium that was looked at under some type of an X-ray technology, did they make a statement in that article that the barium could have been put in the alveoli because of the removal of the lungs, squeezing of the lungs?
See, after stating the finding, which is really the critical point, then he speculated as to how it could possibly have gotten down there. And part of the speculation, as I understood the article, was movement of the body. Part of it was manipulation of the lungs during removal of the lungs from the body.
In other words, that what he was postulating is that the barium was in the lungs because it physically got moved, and then when you move the lungs out, somehow you have to kind of grab it and pick it up, that it squeezes it to the point where the barium gets into the alveoli. Is that correct?
I think that's adding a great deal to what he specified in the article.
Isn't that what the article talks about when it talks about the barium in the alveoli, that basically it's in there because of the removal of the lung process as opposed to just simply moving the body?
I didn't get that from the article because the article basically states the body was handled in exactly the same way that all bodies are after they put the barium in, and it followed the usual procedure. And then at autopsy 24 to 48 hours later, the barium was in the alveoli, and then speculation starts at that point as to how he thinks it might have gotten there, but that's beyond what the simple, straightforward observation was.
And the observation is that trace amounts of barium get into the alveoli. That he made that statement in the article. Is that true?
Well, the X-ray certainly would contradict that statement. There was quite a bit of blush, an alveolar pattern in many parts of both lungs, so it looked to me as though it was rather extensive. I would disagree with that statement.
All right. Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome.
Redirect.
Last point, and of course, the barium that got into the alveoli in that particular experiment didn't get there by breathing, did it, Doctor?
No, sir.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Recross. All right, subject to recall, you're excused. Thank you for being here. You may step down.
At this point, we would arrest our case in rebuttal.
Subject to the few exhibits that are remaining.
Correct, which we can address outside the presence of the jury
Okay.
until we agree or disagree on those.
All right, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Sir, rebuttal?
We're ready.
All right, you may proceed.
Thank you. We called our first witness, Daniel Starr.
Okay. Wow. Look at that. Perfect timing. Perfect. I didn't even plan it that way. I had no idea how perfect that was going to end up. Oh my goodness. I have new subscribers. Hello, new subscribers. If any of my new subscribers are watching, hello and thank you so much. Oh, Dad, remember to use the correct mouse. Hang on. I'm working on it. I forgot all about this sentencing today. Okay. Let me get you redirected. Okay. All right. Yay. Okay, now, do you guys remember the coroner affair murder trial that we did? Megan, somebody, I forgot her last name, was married to some guy named, I forgot his first name, Rice was his last name. They had kids together, but they weren't married, and she was a body transporter for the coroner's office, and she had an affair with the coroner, and she was on a date with her boyfriend, the coroner, and Megan Jackson. Yeah. Christopher Dontel, and he pled guilty. They were driving down the road. She had set this all up and didn't tell him, and they were driving down the road, and there was her husband, and she got out, stopped the car, and she got out and shot him. And then he helped her dispose of the body, and he took a plea deal, testified against her, and today is his sentencing. So that's where we're going right now. We are also going to start a trial today that starts at noon, and it is in Washington. So it's going to be going late every evening. So what we're going to do, we're putting Phil on hold for right now. We are about to start the SIR rebuttal of the defense case. So we're almost done. I don't think this trial is going to last very long because it's on video. It was caught on video. I don't think this trial, jury deliberation is certainly not going to be very long. So, at any rate, because it's all on video. So what we're going to do is it's going to start at noon every day. We're going to go 12 to 5. And then in the morning, we're going to do whatever happened after 5. We're going to do in the morning. So we're still going to do a full day. It's going to be kind of awkward and reversed, but sitting here from 8 in the morning to 8 at night, I can't do it, guys. I can't do it. So, and since the poll was 50-50 now, I get to decide. You did this. You did it. So don't blame me. Okay. So, if you're just here for Phil, we'll get back to Phil after this trial is over. And right now we're going to Christopher Dontel sentencing. So, if you're not going to join us for those, I will see you again when we get back to Phil. Make sure you have your notifications on. And remember to be kind to people, love your family, and Jesus loves you, and so do I. Bye, guys.